Oh, that is badass.
I know. So stupid.
Meet Palle Bo, a full-time traveler and digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. This is The Radio Vagabond.
Welcome to the third installment of Season 6 of The Radio Vagabond. This is episode 187, and in this one we're going to a CouchCrash in Connecticut here in New England. But we start in the smallest state in the USA, Rhode Island. As I knock on the door of my Airbnb host in Providence and is greeted by a wonderful family with a small dog being very loud. My name is Palle Bo, and this is The Radio Vagabond.
She always does this, and somebody told me I could train it out of it, but to tell you the truth, it's good because we're city living, and every so often, there are little break-ins, and it's kind of nice to know.
Yeah. And she thinks she's a Rottweiler, so...
Yeah.
When I arrived to my Airbnb a little bit north of Providence in Rhode Island, I was met by Christina and her family. She's a single mom, and she has two boys, a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old, I think, and a dog. And the dog really made an effort in explaining to me, hey, this is my house, and I don't know you, so it was barking and barking for a very long time. But we ended up becoming good friends, and her accepting me and my presence in the house. But that took a day or so. Yesterday, I spent most of the time in my room working on an episode of the Radio Vagabond podcast, and this morning at 3:30, my alarm clock went off because as a part of my work, I had to do a studio session with an actor in a studio in Copenhagen where I was directing over Skype. So, and that started at 10 o'clock Danish time, which was 4 o'clock this time. So I had to get up really early, and I was on Skype for an hour and a half, and we got the recordings, and everything went perfect. But it was early in the day. And actually, when I was done, I didn't really feel like going back to sleep. So I was sitting around for an hour answering emails and looking for places to stay, and my common sense said, go to bed, Palle, go to bed. You have a long day ahead of you, and I'm doing an event tonight, so I'd better get some more sleep. So at 7:30, I went back to bed and slept for 2.5 hours until my alarm clock rang again. And by then, at 9 o'clock, I really didn't want to get up. I think I could have slept another 8 hours or so. But I did manage to get up and pack my stuff, and now I'm here. I've headed south. I went through Providence because I'm still listening to Crime Town, the podcast about Providence, and I thought I'd drive through it to see what it looks like. And now I've headed further south to a place called Newport. It's on an island in the southern part of Rhode Island, and right now I'm walking on the cliffs. Actually, this place is called Cliff Walks. I'm by the ocean, and have the smell of nice ocean breeze, and it's beautiful here. This is a place that was highlighted as some of the stuff you should go and see when you're in New England. So it's called Cliff Walks, and I'm actually walking on the cliff right now. Here in Newport.
Travel is possible at any age. Your sense of adventure is just over the horizon. So, reach out and grab it. This is The Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
A funny thing about my recording, Christina also rents out another room on Airbnb, and that room is occupied by a young French girl who's here in the US to study sign language. And we spoke about that for a long time. And I said, how come you're doing that here? Are there different languages and different dialects in sign language and so on? And we spoke a lot about that. And then she told me that she was almost deaf herself, and she could read lips. And then she had a hearing aid on, so she could actually hear what I said. But she had a little bit of bad hearing. And then when I knew that I was going to do this session, because her room is right next to my room, and I said, we need to check if the sound goes through the walls, because I don't want to wake you up, and if it's a problem, I can go down to the basement and do the Skype session from there. And then she just laughed and said, that is not a problem. When I sleep, I always sleep without my hearing aid, so you can shout as much as you want. I won't be able to hear you. And we agreed that there's one advantage of having bad hearing. At least she always gets her night's sleep. So it was not a problem, her being in the next room. I could talk.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and guest houses and hostels around the world in one simple search. Hotels25.com. Now I'm in Connecticut, my third of the 6 states here in New England. And when I was looking for a place to stay here, the guy that I wrote to on Couchsurfing.com, he said, can you get here a few days earlier, because something exciting is going on for 4 days, or for 3 days, starting Thursday night until Sunday night. And that's why I'm here. I'm staying with the guy who's in charge of the whole thing, who's sort of the godfather of this event. His name is Jason, and he's taking me in and putting me up in his house. But what's going on the next few days? Well, in a minute I'm going to a kickoff party, and then tomorrow I am going to visit the Mark Twain Museum. I'm going for a walking tour. I'm going to another party at night. On Saturday I'm going on a hike and yet another cookout party. And on Sunday, pancakes in the park, sort of a brunch fest is what they call it. And then we're going to visit the Pez factory, those white candy things that is always in a plastic container where you tilt the head and out comes a Pez. These things are being produced here in Connecticut. And then at night on Sunday, there's pizza in the park and the farewell party. This is all part of the Connecticut Couchsurfing community, and as far as I can see, there are hundreds of people coming and lots of events, and I'm sure I will find some new friends among those people. I'm really looking forward to this. Let me tell you a little bit about the Couchsurfing concept before I meet my new friends here. Couchsurfing.com is a free platform where travelers and hosts find each other and organize a place to spend the night. It's called Couchsurfing, but typically you don't sleep on a couch. I've done it all over the world, and every time I've had my own room. You basically just sign up and get free access to available hosts. Couchsurfing was launched in 2004, and today they have more than 15 million users. You can search for hosts in over 200,000 cities all over the world, and you have the opportunity to message these hosts and kindly ask them to open their home for you, for no cost. So no money changes hands, but you shouldn't see this as a free hotel. It's expected that you talk to your host and get to know them. I mean, that's why they're opening their doors in the first place. Yeah, it's nice to save money when you're traveling, but that shouldn't be the main reason. It's also normal to give them a small gift. It can be a bottle of wine, or maybe take them to dinner, or bring them something iconic from your hometown. But it can also be you singing a song, if you got that skill, or telling a cool story.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good, Jason.
Yeah, hi, Jason.
This is Lee.
How we doing? Hi.
A man walks into a bar and meets Jason and his partner Lee. I know that sounds like a beginning of a bad joke, but that's what's happening here. It's a bit noisy and not ideal for recording a podcast, but thankfully we go out back where they have a more quiet area and some tables.
So I've been dying to know how to pronounce your name. Pelle? 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 Pelle. Is it Danish? Yeah. It is a Danish name.
You are listening to the Radio Vagabond, your guide to taking that first step towards living a more fulfilling and adventurous life. If Paula can do it, why can't you?
So now we're here in Connecticut with a nice cold beer, and I'm with Lee and Jason. And Jason, you're one of the organizers, or you are the man.
Well, I wouldn't say the man, but I am one of the organizers.
And you're wearing a T-shirt that says hosts. So can you tell me what is going on? What is this thing that's going to happen this weekend?
Wow, I mean, this is the second one we've done, so we had such a great turnout last time that we wanted to do it again, and we're just bringing people from all over, hopefully the world. You're here, so we'll have some other people from all around that are flying in and coming in and showing that even though Connecticut's a little tiny state in the United States, there's really a lot of interesting stuff here for people to see, whether it's, history or the outdoors or just some really interesting, neat stuff. Connecticut's got a lot of stuff happening.
This is their second CouchCrash, and they call it Connecticut Couch, since it takes place in Connecticut. Not only is this my first CouchCrash, it's also my first time in Connecticut, and I'm not the only one. Not many tourists come here, even though it's so close to both New York and Boston.
Yeah, I mean, we're an hour and a half, 2 hours from New York, an hour and a half, 2 hours from Boston, and yeah, you got to see Boston, New York. There's some famous things and nice places to see in the city life there. But when you get to Connecticut, there's a lot of history and outdoor and beauty, and Connecticut more so was very industrial in the early 1900s, late 1800s, and a lot of firsts happen here in Connecticut. The first hamburger, the first telephone booth, things like that are all from Connecticut. So yeah, there's a lot of great stuff happening here.
And a big casino. Where you work. I was just told the story about it. Maybe we should share it, because I would think Macau or Las Vegas or maybe Atlantic City, but it's here.
Yeah, I mean, actually, two of them. At the time, the two largest casinos in the world. When they say casinos, it's gaming floor space. So you've got a lot of casinos in Macau, a lot of casinos in Las Vegas. So they share a lot of competition. So they can't grow as large with their gaming floor. But because there's not a lot of competition up here in Connecticut, the gaming floor space is huge. So yeah, big place, make a lot of money, and again, it's in the middle of nowhere, so it's nice. You're not just in this big city. You've got a lot of stuff to see around that's not just gambling.
What do you do there? Stand at the roulette table or deal cards or
no
security guard?
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. Actually, I work in the retail department. I'm the manager of the retail department for the casino, so I'm off the floor, which I prefer.
Yeah.
The Couchsurfing community also organizes Couch Crashes. Those are multi-day events that members put together to celebrate their local Couchsurfing community. They are awesome ways for the locals and travelers alike to connect and learn about the area and see it in a whole new way. I've heard about them, that it's also a great way to make new friends and get an unforgettable experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's a way to bring, when you get a lot of couchsurfers in the local area that are very devoted and into couchsurfing, to say, hey, we want to show you what we've got here. Come see us. And Connecticut might be the last place people would think of because it's such a small place. You'd think of New York or Boston or San Francisco or Detroit. But, we've got a lot happening here. We've got a really loyal, dedicated, active group of couchsurfers here. So Lee and I used to host a party, or we do host a party for like the last 8 years, and we finally got to the point where we had like 50, 60 people coming. We're like, hey, this is almost a couch crash. We could turn it into one. Let's make it a weekend. And 2016, we did it for the first time and had about 150 people. We're like, hey, we got something going on. Let's do it again.
And you set up a lot of different events that we could choose from.
the thing we wanted to do is make sure that whatever you're interested in, there was something for you to do. So if it was history, there's something to do with history. National Park, Coltsville State National Park, the newest national park in the country, is here in Connecticut, which is Samuel Colt invented the Colt 45 revolver. So that's one of the things. If you want to go to a bar, we've got pub things and restaurant bar events. You want nature, we've got hikes, bike riding. The Pez factory for North America is here. So you get a lot of different quirky sort of tubing on the river if you want to just relax.
What?
River tubing. You can take a tube down, float down the river for a couple hours. And Nautilus submarine, the first nuclear power submarine. All the submarines are built here in the United States for the Navy in Connecticut. So there's actually the first nuclear power submarine you can go on for free and go take a tour of it. So that's part of the weekend too.
This is obviously recorded pre-COVID. Jason just told me that they were planning to do another Connecticut Couch in 2020 that got cancelled. So now that's scheduled for August 2021. But only time will tell if that's also too soon. On Couchsurfing.com you can find upcoming events all over the world on the Global Couchsurfing event calendar. Links in the episode notes and on theradiovagabond.com. So, A CouchCrash is about getting to know the area it takes place. But most of all, it's about meeting friends and making new ones.
Oh yeah, it's great meeting so many different people. And, like I said, Connecticut's a small place, but to have people fly in from other parts of the country and the world just to come to the crash is really great. And Couchsurfing, one of their taglines is, friends you haven't met yet. And it's true. You meet friends that you haven't met yet, and then you go stay with them.
When I did my road trip here in the U.S. last year, I spent time with a lot of couch surfers, and I still speak to them to this day. A lot of them.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that I promote is I call it deja surfing, where I think I've done that before, but it's you surf with someone and then they stay with you, and you host them. So it's like, I've met you before. I've stayed with people in other countries, South Korea, and Sonia, my host there, has come and stayed with us here in Connecticut. Or Jean-Marie, who's one of the people who really showed me what couchsurfing was all about, who lived in China at the time. I mean, I met him in Milan. He came and stayed with us this summer, and it's great to build those relationships.
And just a few days ago, I got a reminder on Facebook that it was 2 years ago. I made a new friend. I was my couchsurfing host in Moldova. So,
wow.
Yeah. So we started chatting again. What's been going on in your life and all that. So even though a lot of them I don't speak to every day or every week or even every month, but you still have the connections all around the world, and for me that's the way I get rich from traveling.
Yeah, well, you never know where you're going to end up, and knowing that you have connections all over the world and you want to go somewhere or they want to come visit you, it's not that you have to travel, just having them come visit you is great too. It's an enriching experience.
Yes, it's truly an enriching experience. Before I became a nomad and actually had a home, I was also hosting people. Just to mention a few, I had a German guy and a Colombian woman staying with me. The German was on a bicycling trip from the southern part of Germany to the northern tip of Norway and back. An interesting guy with a lot of stories. And the Colombian woman was living in Copenhagen, teaching math in a university, and wanted to see more of Denmark. So I showed her around, and at night she was teaching me how to salsa. I've also been couch surfing with my kids on a road trip from Denmark to France. We stayed with some wonderful people in Rotterdam, the Netherlands, Ghent in Belgium, and Normandy, France. Truly unique local experiences that we wouldn't have gotten had we stayed at hotels. I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going on the first of many experiences here, the Mark Twain House and Museum in Hartford. Stay with us.
You are listening to the Radio Vagabond. We'll be right back.
The Radio Vagabond is supported in part by Hotels25.com. And something exciting is happening soon. We're building a new, improved website, more inspiration, and even better results. It's so exciting what's going to happen, and I can't wait to tell you more about it. If you're listening to this episode sometime in the future, after mid-March 2021, and I know a lot of you guys do, it's already there. So head over to hotels25.com and make a quick search. I guarantee you that you won't find a better price anywhere. And in fact, if you do so, hotels25.com will refund the difference. And now, another message from a listener. And this time it's a voice message. Someone has clicked on the banner on theradiovagabond.com where it says, "Talk to me."
Hi Pablo, it's Phil Chesterton. I'm here in sunny Yorkshire. Just wanted to say thank you for the podcast. You've got me through so far through the lockdowns here in the UK. It's great to travel with you every weekend as I do my cleaning around the house, feed the dogs, bake some bread and go to a different country with you. It's been a really long, hard lockdown and we're not through it yet, but what's really kept me going is listening to you, listening to the places you've been and the people you're talking to. It really gives hope and light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you ever so much and keep travelling. Take care now.
Thank you, Phil from sunny Yorkshire. Wonderful that you would take the time to say hi. And I'm not even going to spend many seconds talking about the fact that my name is Palle, not Pablo. I know it's a difficult name for anyone not Scandinavian, and as long as you listen, Phil, you can call me Pablo anytime. Trust me, I've been called worse. If you also want to do what Phil did, click on the Talk to Me banner on the website, on theradiovagabond.com, or in the link in your podcast app. And then record your voice and re-record it if you don't like what you said. Once you're happy with it, just click send and I get a little soundbite that I can use on the show. Only thing is that this Tell-B app only works in Google Chrome, but both on a computer and on your smartphone. If you prefer to write, you can send an email to a listener at theradiovagabond.com or go to contact on theradiovagabond.com and fill out the form. Thanks.
All right, so
And now back to Connecticut, where we're meeting the next morning on a square in Hartford.
So Margaret is doing the Holtzville National Park. If you're doing that, please stand with Margaret.
With 125 people living here, Hartford is the second biggest city in Connecticut after the slightly bigger Bridgeport.
So, the Old Newgate Prison and Mine Tour is with Jason. Right here. You don't have to stand too close to him, but at least just stand in that area.
Keep an arm's distance.
Actor Katharine Hepburn was born here, and for 17 years, another famous person lived here. His name was Samuel Langhorne Clemens, but we all know him better as Mark Twain.
I think during the course of this, I have a challenge. We all have to come up with the best Mark Twain facts. Okay. And the rule is it cannot be true.
It cannot be true.
Cannot be true. Yep. We need to convince other people that it will.
Okay. You go in the front.
No, you go.
Oh, you're going in the front.
You're taller. Your legs are longer.
The place that Mark Twain lived with his family is now a museum. And that's what I chose to do, even though that river tubing sounded interesting.
How was the breakfast?
Good.
Good. Where are you guys surfing?
I'm staying with Jason and Lee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You won.
I did.
The best dig.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Great. Okay, 12 minutes away.
Head south toward Riverside Park.
Let's do it.
Sam Clemens, a.k.a. Mark Twain, was born in 1835 and died in 1910. When he was in his late 30s, in 1873, he had this house built and wrote some of his most famous stories here. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and its sequel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. He's known as the father of American literature and the greatest humorist the United States has produced.
Alrighty everyone, here we are on the porch. The house was built in 1874 for Samuel Langhorne Clemens and his wife Olivia Clemens, originally Olivia Langdon. It cost $20,000 originally. It was budgeted at that price, however some things don't change and it went over for $40,000 instead. which makes it about $990,000 in today's money. Coupled with the interior design and furnishings, it was about $3 million today. However, the price is a lot higher due to really perspective period-wise, at least for the family back then. However, Sam Clemens did not spend a dime of his own money in the construction of this house, despite having been using his pen name for about 10 years at this point. It was his wife's inheritance that bankrolled this house and its upkeep for about the first 5 to 10 years. And that was really because Sam's writing career was just beginning in earnest when he moves into this house, and so he was not the most famous American in the world at that point. That title was actually held by Harry Beecher Stowe, who was living right next door in that White House over there behind
the house
trees.
Measures 11,500 square feet, more than 1,000 square meters, and has 25 rooms throughout 3 floors. Quite big for an unknown writer, but you can do that if you have a wife with money. The house itself is a work of art, whether you're interested in Mark Twain or architecture. We learned a great deal about the history of Mark Twain's house, Twain and his family, and the staff that helped manage and care for the home. If you want to visit after the pandemic, they're closed right now in March 21, I highly recommend that you make a reservation for tour tickets as far in advance as possible. It's a very popular attraction here, and you might not be able to get in if you don't. Link in the episode notes and on theradiovagabond.com. After the visit, one of the locals, Margaret, was going to take us for a tour around Hartford. So we get in the car, a big, cool Chevy, and she turns the key.
Oh, that is badass.
I know. So stupid. My son, all the men are all like, Margaret, you gotta keep that. And I'm like, I don't know. My son, he's a mechanic. He got.
So, Margaret, here we are in your badass Chevy. It's a huge truck, and when you started it up, it had a cool sound. And why do you have a car like this?
So, when I have a backstory, so you'll have to. I'm going to regale you with this backstory. So, what happened was I had this old home that required a lot of maintenance. And I really needed a truck for my Home Depot runs. And so I bought a Chevy Silverado. When my kids moved out of the house, I decided to take to the road full time. And I had my tent and my kayak and my laptop. And I just wandered around the United States for about 8 years. And then I came back and I got rid of my house and I got an RV. And the truck was too heavy to tow behind the RV, so I got a Jeep. And I towed my Jeep. And then recently my Jeep died, and I needed to, I know, I was sad, because they're very social cars. I love them. And
Did she have a name?
She did not have a name. I guess I should have gave her a name, but she was pretty cool. She was really cool. I had this amazing rack on the top that allowed you to put kayak and still have the top off. So so you could go topless in it. So it was cool. And so a lot of people would stop by and go, "What the hell is that on top?" They thought I worked for Google because it looked like antennas up there, you know. And they say, "What is that on the top of your Jeep?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a kayak rack." Anywho, it died recently, and I thought if I ever go back on the road, I would love to go back with my truck and my tent because that's how I was most comfortable in my kayak. Yeah. And so I bought another Silverado because it was super reliable and dependable, and it's easy to put my kayak in the back, and I can go places. So and my bike, throw my bike in there, and so that's why I love riding a pickup truck.
Yeah. But the time that you did the traveling around the U.S., did you work at the same time, or?
I did. I worked full time, and I worked IT project management. So I worked full time 8 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. So if I was on the West Coast, that was double tough. That was double tough because that was freaking 5 o'clock in the morning, and I am not a morning person.
Well, tell me about that. A few days ago, I had to direct an actor in a studio in Copenhagen at 10 o'clock Copenhagen time. So that was 4 o'clock my time here. So yeah,
that's tough. I'd had.
It's more easy when you're in Asia. For me at least, not for you, but for me with the Danish clients. Then I can sleep late, and they go to work at 2:00 in the afternoon. Right. So that's better.
That's how it was for me going to Europe. I would go to Europe. I would go to Europe, and I would work from noon their time or 1:00 their time to 9 or 10. And Europe's fabulous because the restaurants are always open till late at night, and so I could explore in the morning, work all day, and then go out and still enjoy the nightlife.
When people ask me how long time I'm going to live this nomadic lifestyle and when I'm going to settle down again, I always say, well, until one of my kids starts having kids themselves and I become a grandfather. Both of them are only in their mid-20s and busy studying in universities. Amanda is studying arts and design at the prestigious Danish design school in Kolding, Denmark, and Clara is studying anthropology at Aarhus University, also in Denmark, and actually just wrote her bachelor about digital nomads. They both say that if that's what I say, I'm going to be traveling for a very long time because they are nowhere near starting a family. Margaret's story is quite similar.
So, my son, his wife, they had a baby, and I became a grandma, which was freaking awesome. While I was there, I met a man, I fell in love. And I said if I had a chance for love, that I would settle down, and I did. However, I miss it terribly, and I am scheming every day to get back on the road full time.
The reason we're in Margaret's car is that she's going to give us a tour of Hartford, and that's something she's done before, as she used to work as a tour guide.
All right, you guys ready for this?
Do it!
Come on now!
Where's your microphone?
I don't need it. I got a big outdoor voice. All right, you guys are so lucky that it's so hot today because normally we start here and we walk 4.4 miles during my tour, but today I am going to put you in air-conditioned areas. Woo! Ready access to bathrooms.
Let's get to know a little bit more about Hartford.
And now, facts about where we are.
The first English settlers arrived in 1635, and their settlement was originally called Newtown, but it was renamed Hartford 2 years later in 1637. So the city is almost 400 years old, and Hartford is among the oldest cities in the United States. Being such an old city, they have a few firsts here. Hartford is the home to the nation's oldest public art museum, the Wadsworth Atheneum, and the oldest continuously published newspaper, the Hartford Courant. Hartford is nicknamed the insurance capital of the world because headquarters of many insurance companies are here, and insurance is still the region's major industry. And the city was the setting of Amy Brenneman's series Judging Amy, which aired from 1999 to 2005. However, it wasn't recorded here.
And that was facts about where we are.
Margaret lives in Manchester, where we're heading right now, but she grew up here.
I did. I grew up there, and honestly, I really like the town. I know Connecticut doesn't get a lot of press among international people. It seems like everybody knows Massachusetts and New York, but nobody knows that Connecticut's in between. And anytime I have an opportunity, even people who live here don't really get it. So I've always enjoyed the historic stuff.
Then educate me and my listeners. What is unique about Hartford, especially Hartford? Why should people come here? I'm putting you on the spot here.
You are. Well, if you like history, in particular American history, or how nations are formed, I think there's a lot of information here that lends itself well to how to start a country and governing themselves in a democratic kind of way. And a lot of the firsts that this country had came out of Connecticut, the original colonies. And oh shoot, I was supposed to go that way.
Oops. We just missed the turn. And you live in Manchester, and we're going to Manchester, so...
I know, well, see, I was preoccupied with your fuzzy...
Yeah,
your fuzzy
and we have people following us, so now they're lost as well.
Oh,
I am so sorry, Margaret. Can you forgive me?
Absolutely. That's, my kids, they were always so mad at me when I take them driving because we always ended up taking the scenic route. We referred to it, and they're like, Ma, can you just get us there without, so unfortunately, yeah, it's true too. We have people following us, and oh my gosh.
No, back to Hartford.
Oh, okay.
Can you multitask? Do you want me to be quiet while you figure out where to go? No. Hartford is also the insurance capital of the world, or of the.
Well, it was of the world for a while, but I think other places have kind of taken that over and
how did that happen?
But we have, Connecticut's probably not the most business-friendly place in the world. So it definitely, with this last administration, is not the most business-friendly place in the world. So that's unfortunate right now. So a lot of companies moved out. So hold on a second.
While Margaret is finding her way from the city she grew up in to the place she lives in now, let me mention that this episode is partly supported by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best deals on hotel rooms and guest houses and hostels and apartments all over the world in one simple search. Hotels25.com. It's best price guaranteed. By the way, you should check out Margaret's blog and consider getting the book she wrote after her life on the road. It's called Lessons from the Road, USA by Margaret Webster. Let me read a few words about the book from the back cover. Lessons from the Road, USA shares the travel adventures of a funny, single, 50-something-year-old woman traveling across the U.S. in a pickup truck. And then it goes on to say, wait for it, Webster is navigationally challenged. After getting lost with her just now, all I can say is, no kidding. Her blog is called LFTRUS, short for Lessons from the Road US. It's also packed with a lot of travel tips. I've got links to both the book and the blog in the episode notes and on theradiovagabond.com. Okay, let's get back to the navigationally challenged Margaret to see if she found the right road back home.
So the GDP here, the gross national product, if you will, or per person, it's supposed to be the richest state in the nation. But, the regular people, they don't live rich. It's just that way because the numbers skew, because insurance companies are basically the invisible bankers. They make a lot of money. And so, it's unfortunate because there are a lot of people in need here, but still, I like it as a state. It's a beautiful state. If you like history, you like U.S. history, it's a great place to go. And it's relaxed as well. Like some major cities you go to, it's a little frenetic. If you don't like crowds, it's definitely...
And we're only 2 to 3 hours northeast of New York City. And
only an hour and a half. It's maybe 2 hours. So that's relative. If you're doing it at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's 2 hours max. If you do it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's going to maybe be 3 hours. But most people, you can take the train from Hartford to New York and get there pretty easily. Although there are stops, so it might take a little.
And also, we're pretty close to Boston as well. So
we're an hour and a half. We're basically in between the two, and it's funny because there's a whole personality conflict that we have here. So there's a river that crosses through Connecticut. So there's east of the river and west of the river. And often people won't travel over the river to the other. They and they have kind of an air about it, like, I don't travel west to the river, I don't travel east to the river. But
you're born on the wrong side of the river.
Also, we have this, families get torn up by sports teams between Boston and New York. So you'll have, diehard Boston fans and diehard New York fans. And I know, like my family, I personally tend to lean towards the underdogs, which is usually Boston. And
I thought it was all Patriots here.
No. Oh no. You got your Giants. No. Well, for football, you have Patriots and Giants. And then for baseball, there's definitely the Red Sox versus the Yankees. And that's crazy. And my son was a Yankees fan, and he'd walk through the house with a Yankees hat, and I'd look at him like, what the hell is that? Are you seriously wearing that in the house? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, why? And
you are no longer my son.
And he'd look at me and say, Ma, they're winners. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. That's true. They kind of are winners. But
and actually, earlier today you told the story about how Yankees became Yankees.
That's right. So...
And that's a funny story. But unfortunately, we don't have time for it in this episode, so you'll have to wait a week for that one. My name is Pablo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.
Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.